Okay, Zach, you're a lawyer, so then why are you like incriminating yourself so heavily? I feel like we're all in agreement that like all Kwame has to do is blink once and say, and then we're all gonna know that he's just in the sunken place. He's in the sunken place. Kwame is in the sunken place because it doesn't seem like he's enjoying himself. Like it seems like anytime anybody asks him like a regular normal question, like could you see yourself spending your life with her? He's just like, ah! Welcome to my channel. This is a casual YouTube channel where I talk about anything casual or monumental. And this week we're going to be talking about Love is Blind, and I'm going to be talking about the standout slash spicy moments of Love is Blind, because a recap to me is not necessary for this channel. This is just like where we talk about the things that all stood out to us. We all watched the same exact thing, so I'm not going to recap the show. I'm just going to talk about everything that I was like, yikes about. So I have written down a bunch of notes that I took from when me and my husband sat down and watched the show. And oh my god. The first couple episodes felt like they were very jam-packed in comparison to these next couple episodes. These next couple episodes like did feel like they had some like tension and awkward drama, but it almost felt harder to watch, you know? Like when they're getting to know each other, the crazy like dramatic moments are kind of like, this is so fun to watch. This is so entertaining. But like now we're seeing people just meet uncomfortable, weird dads who just have a lot of like rude qualities that you're like, this is a tough watch. This is just a tough watch. I can't like bring myself to enjoy this anymore as much as I did. I'm gonna start off with the thing that everybody was talking about from these first couple of episodes, episode 9 and 10. Episode 9 specifically felt like it was very Jackie and Marshall centered. So Jackie and Marshall, oh my word. From I think the first episode 9, was like uncomfortable because you just are seeing these people that not mean well, because I really don't feel like Jackie means well. I feel like these people are both just truly just being themselves, you know? I don't feel like Jackie feels like she's doing anything wrong. I feel like Marshall knows that he's trying to like help this girl figure out that she's doing wrong, but ultimately you're kind of just looking at them like, y'all are not supposed to be together at all, because like Jackie said, Marshall essentially is too sensitive for her. But it's like he's not just the word isn't too sensitive of a person. Like he's very in tune with his emotions. You just are very like I don't know, the things that she wants I feel like are not healthy. So sure, you could say that he's too sensitive for her, but also don't be toxic. Like don't like things that are not supposed to be liked, you know? Like telling somebody to boss up is like not is something that a sensitive it, a woman who tells a man to boss up, I feel like needs a more sensitive man who can like let her know like that's kind of rude to say. You know, like it's just rude to say like nobody should thrive in like telling people that they're like too sensitive or they're like not enough of a man. You know. Anyway, I will say though the tension of when Jackie and Marshall came back to their apartment, and Marshall was like, "What do you need from me?" And Jackie was like, "I don't even want to talk about this, man. I don't want to talk about this." The tension of that moment where it's like, "Okay, we got to get into this, but like you don't want to get into this, but like we can't move forward if we don't just get into this," is so relatable. I feel like to many couples when like there's this one little touch point that you don't want to talk about and you don't want to argue through it. So you just kind of are like, who's going to bring this up first? Like, I don't know if it's going to be me, but I don't want it to be. So you just are kind of looking at this. I looked at this and I was like, Jackie, just get into it. Like, just have an argument and get over it, you know? But then I did realize, like, they're just not meant to be in the same exact room. They're not meant to be in the same room. They're not meant to have these discussions because they're not a good couple together. That's really what it comes down to. Made me uncomfortable. Oh my god. I'm gonna just talk about everything related to Jackie and Marshall right now so I can go couple to couple because I don't really want to come back to them. It's interesting that like Jackie was like, just love me. Love me. And then Marshall is like, I don't know how. And of course, we find out at the very end, Jackie kind of breaks it off with him and then tells Josh, like, he's just too sensitive for me. And then Josh is like, ha, I already been new. And you're just like, ew. And Jackie does make like a comment after she asks for the ring back, which is also an interesting thing I want to get to. But she makes a comment that she probably needs therapy, which is like, really? Do you really? And, I just feel like Jackie is just a little bit too immature to come on this show. And it makes me feel like, did you not, like, know what this was about? Love is Blind to me is interesting because if you watch Love is Blind and Married at First Sight feels like it's for grown people who have, like, really tried systems of dating. And Love is Blind kind of feels like it's more for people who want to be on TV, and then maybe we'll end up in a marriage. Like Tiffany and Brett and Lauren and Cam from the first season are meant for Love is Blind, but at the same time, you couldn't have the Tiffany's and the Bretts without the Jackie and the Marshalls, But it just makes me wonder, like, do people who come on Love is Blind like actually want success? Because I feel like Jackie doesn't want a successful relationship. I feel like Jackie just like seeks to chase toxicity. So what was the point of coming on the show if like you weren't going to try to add to the success of your relationship and like notice Marshall's a good person? But I guess it all comes down to the fact that like they were not compatible. They weren't. I think it's also interesting cuz the Bachelor podcast brought up like at some point in your life, you've either been a Jackie or you've been a Marshall. That's so relatable. Me as a young woman, I feel like there have been moments where I've been I gravitate towards like getting a little bit toxic, getting a little bit like let's pick a fight and see if he loves me type of a thing. Like let's pick a fight and test our limits. Like in the early stages of me dating my boyfriend. Just to like spice things up for like no reason, to be immature for nothing, to like chase a thrill. But like I feel like now as a married person, me and my husband are both like Marshalls because we don't like chase the toxicity. We don't chase picking fights for no reason. It's not fun anymore. It's just like we both say to each other, what do you need from me? Like how can we properly communicate, I don't know. I feel like actually that's really interesting. I thought about it as you're either a jockey or you're a Marshall, but I think in order to grow as a person, you go through your stage of being a Jackie to then become a Marshall. I don't feel like people who are permanently Jackies have successful relationships. But it's also interesting because I feel like a lot of these shows, typically when they're looking at relationship dynamics and like we see a toxic relationship, um, for Love is Blind specifically, I feel like the girls are always kind of villainized because they seem to be a little bit more trash. And then the men on Married at First Sight seem to be the villains, which is, if you watch Married at First Sight, the idea of Jackie keeping the ring was so awkward because it was like, why would you ask for the ring when this is like the ring in in my opinion, an engagement ring, it's not even in my opinion, it's just what an engagement ring is. An engagement ring is supposed to symbolize your guys' relationship. So like why do you even want to keep on to like this symbol of your relationship? Um like did it mean so little to you that you can just take that value away from it, you know? But at the same time, I thought to myself, like, is it because it was like given by the show? And then I looked at Jackie's Instagram, and Jackie has some beef with the edit. The fact that, like, she didn't go to see Josh, like, during the wedding dress shopping or whatever. She went to see Josh, like, after they had broken up, which I still think is, like, kind of gross that she went to see Josh, of all people. Yuck. But whatever. It's her choice, it's her life. Even if I feel as though it happens to be a trash choice, it is a choice. I I think it's interesting that she like mentioned in her little notes app apology or notes app note. She pinned it on her Instagram for everybody to see so that you would stop getting hate, I think. That's the thing. Um she said like the Marshall didn't buy the ring. The show bought the ring. I think it's interesting because I was thinking to myself, like, would I keep the ring? No, I would not have. I just think that if you just have integrity, you would just know that this is like the symbol of your relationship in that ring should not carry weight into your life. Like, it should not be such a material thing that you're like, well, I'm gonna detach the story from it and just it's just a ring. I would only keep it to sell it. That's the only way I would be keeping that ring. Very interesting. Her and Josh, I don't wish them well. I think they're disgusting. But I would never give them hate. I would only like give my true honest feelings on this little YouTube channel, but I would never like write an Instagram comment that's like critiquing their character and their personality like so many people are doing. I think it's despicable though that that they are getting um hate comments and potentially death threats just for like existing in the way that they would exist. Whether or not you agree with the way that they're living their lives, it is how they're doing it, you know? Like, relax. Um Kwame and Chelsea. Um so Kwame and Chelsea, to me, I have had a problem. I have had like so many differing opinions about them from the beginning because I'm like, okay, so I understand that Kwame just kind of wants his like kind of bachelor type life, and he's feeling a little bit of pressure from Chelsea, and like he is assimilating into her life as opposed to them building one cohesive life. Uh but it's like, okay, who out here is really, as much as I can acknowledge that, I'm still rooting for Chelsea's happiness as opposed to Kwame's happiness. You know what I mean? I think that Kwame's like a charming guy. I think he's very interesting. But since like he was caught slipping up with what's her name? Micah, I just feel like ever since then I've been like, I don't even care if like you are the greatest human being alive. I just feel like that one little mistake has tainted you for the rest of the season, which is disgusting. So now it just kind of feels like he's just a negative Nancy for nothing. Like, why do you have such a problem with you and Chelsea like building a life, and like, oh, the fact that, oh, you don't want to move down to Seattle. Seattle is trash. Um I don't know, you have a problem with like Chelsea and her attitude, and you like he just seems so negative. Like I said, he is in the sunken place. Kwame is in the sunken place, like fully. I don't even I don't even think I would be friends with Chelsea in real life. She seems a little bit annoying if you were to be actually friends with her. Even though I find her annoying and I wouldn't be friends with her in real life, I'm still rooting for her because I think she's the better of them. So yeah. Uh Kwame's family to me is the pro of like his whole entire TV presence. And then his attitude is the con of him. I still I think that Chelsea is like so head over heels for him that she just kind of talks herself out of all of the all of the cons that come with him. So she's not thinking clearly because she's so focused on like, I found my perfect man. This is a beautiful man. I'm finally getting everything I want out of life, and not realizing like he's going to say no. At the end of the day, he is going to say no. And I feel bad about that because I know Chelsea will be devastated. She's so eager to just have him, but like they're not going to be together, I don't think. If they are, I would bet my tongue on, well, I would bet like $50 that they would not end up together. Like if me and my husband had a bet and he said yes and I said no, we would place $50 on the table. But but like we both are betting no because he does not seem happy. He is not happy with her. I can't, it would shock me if he mentioned like what, it shocked me when he was at the altar and they were saying their vows and he was mentioning everything he loved about her. I was like, he loves these things about her? Where? When? How did that never was brought up? I love the sister. Kwame's sister is so awesome and so kind and so supportive. And it just makes it hard to believe that they're like related. Like it just is shocking. And the mom, this is another thing. I I feel like since I'm very much proud of my individualism and proud of the fact that I take autonomy over all my choices, um, I find it really hard. I find it really hard to imagine like if my parents, and I'll also keep in mind like my parents aren't like, oh, my best friends. Like I'm pretty close now as an adult with like my mom. But if she were to be like, I don't approve of this, I can't say that I would take it so to heart that I would be like, this is off. You know, like neither did Kwame, and Kwame's like his best friends with his mom. But like the idea even of like, oh, my friend disapproves of this relationship, it's not happening. My mom disapproves of this relationship, it's not happening, even though they haven't spent more than like 20 minutes with us. That's wild to me. I don't know. I don't like when people place too much of an opinion on outside sources who haven't even like seen the people together that like are a part of this relationship, you know? It's just weird to me that people do that. So yeah, that's my tiff with Kwame. Speaking of Tiffany and Brett. So Tiffany and Brett, I've said this once and I'll say it again. We do not deserve Brett. We don't deserve him. I so enjoyed this episode because, of course, like one of the scenes starts off with Tiffany just kind of like stress cleaning and being like, "This is a lot. Like, this is a lot. A lot of things are happening. I'm very stressed about this wedding. I get. I don't even know." And then she just breaks down in Brett's arms, and we just see her exhausted. And I heard from like the Vile Files podcast that Shane said that like through this experiment, you have your real job and you're doing the show and your wedding planning. So I completely understand why Tiffany would break down. I broke down whenever I was wedding planning, and like I was completely exhausted. So I can't imagine like speed running this thing with a stranger essentially. Like these are strangers who you're getting married to basically. I would be overwhelmed and overloaded too. But it kind of did make me nervous because I was like, Tiffany, hold on. Like, you have America's sweetheart in your hands. But also, she's great too. Like, she seems like a very kind person. She seems like wife material, just based off the way that she like listens to him and looks at him. But a little bit of me was like, oh my God, Tiffany, please don't self destruct. Like, hold on to this man with everything you have, Tiffany. Because it just is like, oh my God, they just seem like too good to be true. Like, um, you know, when Brett is in the previews and he's like, this should not happen. I think that he's saying about I think he's saying that about their connection. He's like, this is so good, this is too good to be true, this should not happen. Like, I'm hoping that that is what he's saying. Like, our life is a fairy tale, this should not happen in nature, you know. I really hope that's what it is. But anyway, so as she's struggling and talking about the wedding plan, we see the next day. And this honestly made me emotional. Like, it really did make me emotional. Sitting next to my husband, and I saw that Brett had this like plane ride planned just to like kind of take the stress off. And he's like, I see that Tiffany is stressed. I just want her to know that like I love her and I want to give her a good time. And I was like, oh my God, where have you been, Brett? Seriously, where has Brett been? Like, I want to know a detailed list of like what his past dating experiences have been like, because how is this man single at all? How is this man single when he's so intuitive? He's so like, it wasn't just like, oh, sorry that you're feeling this way. Well, we're gonna get married and that should be enough for you. It was like, oh yeah, no, sorry you feel this way. Here's a plane ride or whatever that was, like a mini plane, a high hydroplane, or whatever plane that was. Here's a plane ride to like take the stress off, and I'm gonna listen to your problems and like let you rant and like be a nice like. They're just too perfect. They're too perfect. And I know no couple is perfect, you know, they're gonna run into like some bumps in the road at some point, and like something's going to like make them less perfect than they seem on TV. But for now, it just feels like they work so well together that it feels unbelievable. You know, it feels like this is a long lasting, guaranteed for life thing, which is beautiful. And it makes me like so happy. Just made me, I just was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry because a man just giving a woman validation and like catering to her love languages is so beautiful, because I think we so celebrate the toxicity of this show that we need to just take a second to look at, this is what this should look like, this is what love should look like. And it was beautiful. I just, oh my God, oh my God. Also, I really liked Brett's parents or parent. Oh my god. Um, because the dad and the parent and the brother were like so easygoing. I love when we meet relatives that are like, do you approve of my hair? Yes or no? Like, you're in if you do, you know? Like, I love easygoing people as opposed to like Zach's parents or Zach's meeting with Bliss's parents. Ew, dude. Ew. Like, I just so prefer Brett's parents, Brett's parent, and Brett's brother's approach to like, let's greet her with kindness and like make her feel welcome. I just feel like there's so much more value in that than being the protective, like, oh well, I'm just too skeptical about this. Like, I understand the skepticism and I understand like the I'm protective type thing. But when it comes to meeting somebody that could potentially be in somebody's life forever, and I had beef with my not my parents about this, but like I didn't understand, like I felt like my parents were a little bit more hard on me and like me bringing home my now husband, but that like previous boyfriend Chris, my husband now, because I just felt like they weren't giving the like love and the kindness that I thought was going to be given to like somebody who I'm bringing home who could be my potential husband, you know? So I just don't I have a problem when people like don't greet boyfriends or whatever with open arms. I understand also I'm not a parent, so I would never know how this feels until I become a parent. I can't critique this until I know exactly how it feels accurately, you know? Um, I can imagine if you want to play the protective role, you're doing that out of like, oh, we're not just gonna like let anybody in, like because we have to let somebody know that like if they mess with you, they're also like messing with like our family, and we have to let them know that we think that you are valuable enough to like give them a hard time, like kind of like grill them through it. I understand the value in that a little bit, but I just feel like it's so much more valuable if the person does end up in their life forever. At least you always have a fond memory of them in the early stages of them being like kind and welcome, you know? I don't know. So that leads us into Zach and Bliss and Zach's interaction with Bliss's family. So Zach meeting Bliss's mom was like really touching. Bliss's mom being like, well, if Bliss loves you, then I'll be your mom too. It just is like, it just could be that simple. And that's what I really appreciate. But when we all know what I'm about to talk about. When Zach brought up the fact that he was with Irina too, oh my god, it just was weird because me and Mass were just sitting on the couch, sitting here, just being like, "Oh my god, he really didn't need to bring that up. Like seriously, he can shut up right now." Because it just felt like way too honest. Zach is so earnest and so open that it's admirable in a relationship, I think. But from a TV standpoint, you're just looking at him like, whoa, Zach! Like I think it's more admirable. It's more of a pro than a con. But for the first like moment, you're like, this is bad, Zach. Like you did not need to bring this up in the first meeting. You could maybe brought this up the fifth or fourth or whatever. But for the first meeting, you're gonna leave like with them thinking about the fact that you just opened up like that, you know? So I was not pro Zach doing that, but at least he like got it out before the show came out, you know? Gotta give him props for being earnest. Thank God he didn't do that in front of the dad. Thank God. That way I don't know. Yeah, because a lot of me was thinking like, okay, Zach, you're a lawyer, so then why are you like incriminating yourself so heavily? What is up with that? You know what I mean? Like, you do not need to spill that much information. You're like a lawyer, but at the same time, he is a lawyer, so he probably doesn't know how to like really plead his case and impress people. So maybe we were thinking we wouldn't have thought that because we were not, in the mind of somebody who knows how to win people over. So I feel like I'm harping on that way too much. I feel like I harped on that way too much. Tell me if you enjoy it or not. Leave a comment. Just kidding. No, but really do though. Like I appreciate them. I really do. These past couple episodes, I feel like has really humanized Zach. You know, him with Bliss. I feel like we see a side of him that's just more like, oh, this is just somebody who's like um very open, very honest, a little bit odd, a little bit of an oddball, but still like a really decent guy. And I don't know, deserves to be heard out. I really appreciate that from the first time that he met with Bliss's family, Bliss's mom, and then seeing him with Bliss's dad, which is like yuck. On Bliss's dad's part, not yuck on like Zach's part. Um, I noticed that like he hit the same exact points that he did with he hit the same points that he did with the mom, that he did with the dad. You know, that was amazing. It was just kind of like, I love her because she's intelligent. I love that he hit the typical like, oh, she wants to go to the moon when she's 60. I love that she is a nerd. I love that she is so kind. I love the blah blah blah. And he like made sure to run that through with both parents. And I thought it was perfect. Like, it doesn't feel performative in the way that like Chelsea's kind of like performance felt performative with like saying, oh, this is Kwame likes to, like play the piano and like he has his BA and like, you know, it just felt genuinely like Zach was talking to Bliss and letting him know that he actually loved those things about her, as well as just like actually trying to impress the parents. That was amazing. Which my husband could take note, because like when my sister was grilling him, he did not do that well. He really didn't do that well. But we're married now, so I can't change anything about it. I just really appreciate Zach. I don't even know what to say about Paul and Micah, other than Micah's friends suck and Paul deserves better. Because I just feel like Micah, he's kind of in the same boat as Jackie in the way that like they're very immature. Micah and Jackie seem very mature. Micah doesn't seem like she's cut out for marriage yet. Like, she just seems like she's playing around a little bit too much. Like, it shocks me that her and Paul chose each other. It shocks me mainly because I have a big call a big crush on Paul. But whatever. It's fine. He'll be happy. I'm happy and married. So anyway. Yeah, no, I just want better for Paul, seriously, because I just feel like I love the way that he like analyzes things and uses too many metaphors, and I don't know, the fact that he's like nerdy and stuff. But I just don't feel like Micah aligns with him. You know, I just feel like also that scene of when they were at the bachelor party, and she was like, "Are you gonna come see you? I'm gonna come see you." I was like, "Oh my god, don't be that girl. Do not be that girl. Yuck. Oh my god, yuck." For the reunion, I have some predictions. I think that most of the couples are going to break up if they don't just say yes at the altar. I think that definitely, what's his name? Kwame said no. For sure. You kidding me? There's no way that he's saying yes. There's no way. I think that, what's her name? Chelsea is gonna have some beef with Micah and is gonna bring up like, why the heck were you having these inappropriate conversations? Why were you having these inappropriate conversations? You try to be cool with me and then you have inappropriate conversations. Weird. She's gonna have beef with Kwame, rightfully so. Josh and Jackie may or may not be dating, but Jackie's gonna have some beef with Netflix because the way that they like played the whole like interaction with her meeting with Josh was like, shh. I was gonna say something that I don't know if it's a bad word or not. Is shiesty a bad word? I don't know. I don't know. Paul and Micah are not, I don't think, together. They seem like they're not gonna be like that. I hope that Paul finds like the Michelle Obama to his whatever environmentalists are looking for, like whatever. Zach and Bliss, honestly, Zach has been really active on Instagram, and I've been looking at his Insta, and the way that his hair looks doesn't really look like he's in a relationship. It looks like he's like in a single, in a single man phase that's like a depressive state, you know. Just feels like he's grown his hair a little bit too much, that somebody would have told him to shave it off by now if he was married. So I don't think he's married. Brett and Tiffany, hopefully they're thriving. I really, really hope they're thriving. I will cry if they are not thriving. I will. I'll still believe in love, but I'll have a little bit less faith in it. I will. But yeah, so that was my review of Love is Blind, season 4, episodes 9 through 11. If you want to take a look around my channel, take a look around my channel. I have other recaps for the reviews of the show, and then I just have other content related to everything related to whatever is casual or monumental about life.